Hello, my loves. How are you doing? Today is February 27th as I record this, the new moon in Pisces, and the energy is so intense. I knew that I wanted to record a new message for us because we're at this pivotal point from the beginning of the year was kind of its own chapter. We're entering into today a whole new chapter, and then there's going to be another chapter from about May till the end of the year with a little bit of diversity in there. So, new moon in Pisces today alone. We have 5 planets in Pisces and the North Node, the direction that we are going from Virgo to Pisces. So it is including our health and wellness and dreaming a new dream, just the North and South Node alone. Then you have 5 planets in Pisces, okay? Pisces is the end of the zodiac. It is dreaming a new dream. It is beautiful. It is divine love. It is unity consciousness. It is oneness. It's beautiful in that regard. The shadow side of it is addiction, delusion. It is absolutely no boundaries. It is not being able to see clearly. And with all of those planets, we're talking half of the zodiac is in Pisces. It's very difficult to see clearly. It's anxiety producing. It's kind of assaulting on the nervous system, to be honest. That's how I'm feeling it. It's like there's this, because of that lack of boundaries, it's like, I don't know where I end and someone else begins, or I don't know where I'm going. Like we can't see clearly right now. And so there's more on that and the new moon in Pisces in the new moon ceremony. That's in my shop. They're always there like 2 days before the moon cycle. And then you can be part of the Wild Moon Sisterhood or the Wild Moon community if you want to. It used to be called the Sisterhood. It's not anymore. So anyways, we've got that just today alone. And then on February 23rd, so Sunday, only 4 days ago, Mars went direct in Cancer. So that feeling that we've had all the beginning of the year, we started with Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars all retrograde. Uranus went direct January 30th, Jupiter went direct February 4, Mars went direct just on the 23rd Sunday of February. So we have a reprieve here. We are having, and I don't even want to call it a reprieve because it doesn't feel like a reprieve at all, but we've had 5 days here. Friday the 28th is the last day of it, of all planets direct. And so there should be, I do feel sort of a sorting, a sense of like, things integrating and kind of sorting where they are before we go to the next chapter. But with all of that energy in Pisces, it's a little rough. And then we've got Chiron in Aries and we've got Venus in Aries. So I'll talk about that in a second. But with all of that, it's like this pause, this moment of kind of collecting ourselves, but it also feels so kind of confusing and scattering and, like I said, assaulting to the nervous system. It doesn't really feel like a reprieve because, let me talk about the Mars going direct. Mars in Cancer. Okay, Cancer is the most emo sign of the zodiac. So that holding back feeling, it's like we've been a horse behind the gate, like not being able to get anywhere. I've heard many people on YouTube, in my own personal life, like in multiple places, saying they've been sick all the beginning of the year, like they can't seem to get things off the ground. Things don't seem to be forward movement. That is because of this. And with Mars finally going direct, because it's the divine masculine, but it's also the action planet. It's kind of our direction, like where we're going. It's in the birth chart. It's what you're driven by. And so with that being retrograde in review, it's cataloging all of the emotions of Cancer and it's revisiting what emotions has the masculine left out. Remember, like on the whole, we are rebalancing the masculine feminine here within our own bodies externally. And when I say masculine, feminine, if that word doesn't work for you, just think of form and formlessness. It's not about gender. It's about the way energies move differently and how they are necessary for each other, and they're necessary to harmonize and work together. That is what we are working together on the whole to move back towards. But so yes, in retrograde, Mars has been collecting data on emotions not processed, not seen, not witnessed, and not integrated. Now that it's going forward, depending on your level of consciousness and where you are with your own internal emotions, this can manifest as like firing off hateful things at people if your own emotions are not integrated or not grounded or not witnessed, seen, heard. So we can tend to like project on other people because of that. So I think that's why this week, even though it's like kind of a reprieve with all planets direct, it doesn't feel like a reprieve because it's like this ripping off the Band-Aid of all these emotions, either other people firing them at you, or you firing them at other people, or you just feeling them in your body. And it's a lot to alchemize and process, right? So now is the time when we need to use all of our practices: chanting, meditation, pranayama, yoga nidra, breath work, like all the things, walking. Like I literally went for a walk just before this, just so that I could get myself grounded, because this week has felt so chaotic. And the other thing about Mars is this fiery feeling of like, it has to be done yesterday. So there's this sense of urgency. And I've tried to learn this lesson over and over, and it's just hard to remember sometimes. But when you feel that sense of urgency, that it has to happen yesterday, in my experience, that is the exact time to do nothing. Because often mistakes will be made or the wrong choice will be made because you're taking the action because of that feeling of urgency, but it's not true. It's not real. Remember, like in the world of energy, there is no space and time. So that idea of like this time, this urgency, it has to be done yesterday is not true. It's a story that we're telling in our minds. And yes, I know there's deadlines and, you know, some things have to happen, and also most of the time it is not urgent, but we feel like it is because our emotions are telling us that. So that's a little bit about the new moon and Mars going direct. This is the new chapter that we're stepping into. Saturday, March 1st, Venus goes retrograde. On March 13, Mercury will meet up with it and go retrograde as well. So in the 2025 video, I talked about the energy of this whole year being endings and beginnings. And the reason for that is because we have 4 planets that are retrograding from Aries back into Pisces, back into Aries. And Aries and Pisces is that threshold of death and rebirth, endings and beginnings. So Pisces is the dissolving. So all of those planets that are in Pisces right now are the beginning of this dissolving. We have to, die before we're reborn. If you've heard that Buddhist saying, if you die, now I can't even think of it. If you die, when you die, you will not die when you die. If you die, that's not it. Why is it escaping me? Because of Pisces, because we can't think clearly and it's like elusive and it's out there. Anyways, it'll come back to me. You know what I'm saying. So we've got this death and rebirth, and this Venus going retrograde is starting it, okay? So we've got these 5 placements in Pisces, and then we've got Venus, the mother, the nurturer, that has gone ahead while, Mars was retrograde. The masculine's getting an update on the emotions. Yes, Cancer is ruled by the moon, but the moon and Venus, I see them as very, similar because they're feminine energy. They're nurturing, they're mothering, they have that quality about them. And so, the moon is more nurturing emotions and Venus is more like material things. Like, do we have our physical needs met? Do we have food? Do we have all of that? So Venus has gone forward in Aries to kind of collect the information and the data of this new earth, this new world that we're moving into. And then she's going to retrograde on Saturday back in, and she's not going to get to, Pisces on, right when she goes direct, but she'll go back direct into Pisces. And it's like she's going back to collect data from all those planets, everything that's dissolving, so that she can get the upgrade of that before she leads the charge and goes back into Aries. Well, then we have Mercury joining her on March 13. And Mercury is all about voice and language and communication. So the way that I'm reading that is those two planets meeting up together to retrograde over that Aries Pisces point is the reclamation and the kind of renewal, regeneration of the feminine voice. It's thinking about, it's integrating how has the feminine voice been left out of the story, and it's reclaiming that part of ourselves too. It's like, women have been so encouraged to say yes to everything, to have no boundaries, to be people pleasers, to do all of this. And there's something about the need for that feminine voice, the reclamation of it, for us to reintegrate and recognize that it is not wrong or bad to have a voice as a woman, or to use your feminine voice to protect your family, to protect your body. It's also like the voice within, your intuition, your solar plexus, your gut, that feeling of like something is off about this, but I don't know what it is. And especially women, and then the feminine energy in all of us has been trained to just go along to get along and don't say anything that's disruptive or, holds a boundary or says something or tells something to someone that they don't want to hear. And, it's just not true. It's just not true. It's like we're not taking care of ourselves. And that intuition, that gut feeling that tells us that something is wrong. I have an old astrology teacher from like 10, 15 years ago that used to say, energy doesn't lie. People lie, but energy does not lie. When something feels off, it is off because the energy is telling you it is. You don't have to know what it is. You just have to trust it. And that's what we're doing. Like this Venus Mercury, retrograde is like the reintegration of that feminine voice, which is gut and intuition. It's that feeling of something's off and I need to follow it. I need to trust it. So as I'm saying that, I'm realizing, this retrograde cycle with those two planets is also about reintegrating and reclaiming our intuition. Okay, so I'm just going to list out the dates because there's this whole kind of sandwich of things happening from March 1st. So we've got Venus going retrograde March 1st, like I said, Mercury going retrograde March 13. Then the next lunation cycle after this new moon in Pisces today is going to be the full moon in Virgo, which is a lunar eclipse. So eclipses always come in pairs. They're either like 2 or 3 in a row. And eclipse season in general is an upgrade and a shift in consciousness of the collective and the individual. So wherever you are in your level of consciousness, when you get to the other side of this eclipse season, you are not going to be the same. Like something is going to have shifted. So full moon, lunar eclipse in Virgo. Virgo is clean up on aisle 6, okay? This is the lights going all the way on. You can see all the rats in the corner, so Virgo can clean it up. Virgo can't clean what it can't see. So we have to see everything. We have to see truth. We have to see all of the things that are inconvenient that we don't want to look at because we can't clean it up. We can't claim it. We can't integrate it. We can't recycle it, send it where it's supposed to be if we don't look at it. So that's March 14. Then we have the spring equinox, March 20, and I'm going to be doing an event that is going to be in person, and also over Zoom. So get on my newsletter. I'll announce it, pretty soon. Spring equinox is equinox, think equal. It's half light, half dark. It is the midpoint between winter solstice and summer solstice. So it's this kind of fulcrum point of switching over from dark into light. Then we have the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, March 29. So that's the lights all the way off. Now you're walking in the dark and you can't see where you're going as The sun has just moved in. The sun will move into Aries on March 20th, the same time, the same day as the equinox. And then we're going to have this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Well, guess what? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the Fool in the tarot. So when you can't see, already the Fool, even in daylight, is getting ready to walk off a cliff and doesn't realize it. So the beautiful thing about Aries, it's all the archetypes of the signs, planets, and houses live on a continuum. So there's a higher octave, lower octave, there's a consciousness, and there's an unconsciousness about it. Well, Aries is beautiful in the fact that it's brave and courageous. The reason it's brave and courageous is because it doesn't know what it doesn't know. It doesn't see the cliff in the first place. So it's ready to walk off of it because it doesn't even know that it's there. Well, in the dark, it's even more not going to know where it's going and what's there. So it's going to be, I call these like white knuckle moments when the lights are all the way off, where you're moving through brand new territory. You don't know what you're doing. Maybe you don't even know who you are. It's brand new stuff. It's like, a massive shift in your career, in your relationship, in your home, in your location, in your friendships, like whatever it is, it's there for you. Like I always say that this energy, like whatever's happening is happening for you, not to you. Because even the difficult stuff is there for you to upgrade your consciousness and learn, from it and where you're going. Then, let's see, Mercury is going to go direct April 7. And then Venus is going to go direct April 12. And then on the same day, we will have a full moon in Libra. Well, Libra is the scales. It is justice. It is balancing. Libra is the first sign in the zodiac from Aries to Pisces that moves from me to we. So one of my teachers says it's the bicycle built for two. So it's, too much Libra energy and you can't go to the bathroom by yourself because you're so concerned with, everybody else and like missing out and FOMO and all of that. And then, so there's all of that. So that full moon, it's not an eclipse. So we'll have eclipse season and then we'll have the full moon in Libra that's going to come in to balance all of the energy and everything, this whole sandwich of energy that we've moved through in March and April. And so with that full moon in Libra, they'll come in like a little bit more balancing energy, integration, flushing it all out. But remember also, whenever we have retrogrades, there is a setup phase where it starts to go, the energy starts to come in before the actual date that it goes retrograde. And then after it goes direct, there's an integration period. The longer the cycle of, the better way to say it is the slower moving the planet, the longer the integration period. So Mercury has like a 2-week integration period. Venus, I think, is probably a month. I can't remember exactly when it goes back to where it started. And then we'll have maybe a little bit of a break from April 12 until May 7th. But that's going to be like an integration period because all of that stuff is still going to be integrating and flushing out. May 7, we start a whole new chapter for the year, and that's when Pluto is going to retrograde. And remember, Pluto just went into Aquarius, so it's a whole new 20-year cycle for the collective. It's not going to retrograde back into Capricorn. We're done with that for our lifetime. It's only going to move to like 0 or 1 degrees of Aquarius, but it's going to do so at the beginning before a bunch of other planets go retrograde as well. So that's kind of the gist. You get the idea of where we're going. So March and April are not energy to snooze on. This first little bit, January, February, has been kind of this holding back. Like we're still getting information. It's like we're in the new year, but we're not in the new year. There's no forward movement. It's kind of like the astrology and Mother Nature is trying to tell us to get off the Gregorian calendar. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like she's saying, be in sync with astrology, be in sync with nature. It is not time to start a new year and do, all these New Year's resolutions and start dieting and all that stuff in the dead of winter. Like it's ridiculous. You start doing that in Aries season, in March and April when you start moving into Aries. So it's kind of like Mother Nature has set up this whole thing, and the astrology has set up this whole thing so that we have to kind of suffer through these first 2 months of the year to feel that and to be reminded, like, no, it's still time when things are dying. We're not ready to be reborn yet. We're still in a phase of rest and digest and learning and integrating and, getting all the information. So I'm telling you what, it's a lot. And, we've only had 4 or 5 days of this direct, and then everything, there's a whole nother pile of retrograde. So it's really beautiful. One thing I forgot to mention, right now at this new moon in Pisces, Mars and Venus are squaring. And so Mars is the divine masculine, Venus is the divine feminine. Squares are like coworkers that don't like each other. They push on each other. So it's like one wants to do it their way, the other wants to do it their way, and it's the energy of compromise. We have to learn to compromise. And if we don't compromise, something will break, right? So it's about including both, which is an incredible setup for rebalancing the masculine feminine within all of us. Okay, a couple other announcements. I just posted a new Yoga Nidra called Finding Balance. Of course, it's exactly on time. That was recorded originally and channeled at the end of the year ceremony that I did on December 30th with 2 other friends that are just lovely. And they're the ones I'm going to do the spring equinox again with. So that was originally recorded there. I re-recorded it so the audio would be clean. So that's on Insight Timer now. It's also on my website under my shop if you want to purchase that. I also just uploaded a new chanting class called Chanting Through the Chakras. It's an 8-day course. Each day we go through a different chant that I have associated with that chakra, and we talk a little bit about the energy of the chakras. I'm going to do a deeper dive in another class called Energy Medicine in the Chakras, where I'm going to be teaching more about the energy medicine that's connected to the properties of the chakras. So stay tuned for that. But interestingly enough, and this is so in line with the energy, and Mercury getting ready to go retrograde and Venus getting ready to go retrograde as well, like the way that we nurture ourselves and the way that we communicate in language and travel and share ideas and all this kind of stuff. I uploaded the course, and then immediately after that realized, after they published it, I realized that I hadn't put the intro and outro music with it that I did with the other chanting class. And so I re-uploaded it and submitted it, got a notification that they approved it and it was there. Well, it must be doing something where it's taking a while to upload or something. So the first 2 days are fine, but the day 3 onward, it's like both tracks got overlaid, and so it's skipping around and doing this weird thing, and I've contacted them. Something like this happened in my astrology series course as well. And so if you go there, please know that. I've put a note in the top of the classroom so that people know, but not everybody reads the comments in the classroom. So just know if you start that class, you might experience that as well. Like I said, the first 2 days are great. The 3rd class is when it starts skipping and doing the weird thing. Last time this happened, it took about a week for them to fix it. And they still they never even figured out why it happened. And so I'm like, I know why it happened, because of the astrology, because of the energy that was going on, because there was something big happening then too. I think it had to do with Mercury as well. So anyway, love and blessings on your journey. It's crazy. This kind of update, just to give you an update on, videos and how I'm going to be showing up here and all those kinds of things. This feels better to me. I don't like being on a rhythmic ritual with YouTube where like I'm doing a monthly message. I prefer to listen and feel and hear, like, and watch the astrology and feel the energy, like when there's a necessary update, and to do it at that time. Instead of just, doing it every month. That doesn't feel super nourishing to me. And that's something that we all have to learn, entrepreneur or not, like what nourishes you. And especially when you're giving free content, it needs to nurture the person who's giving it also. Otherwise it just feels like, no boundaries, and like you're just giving, and not being reflected back or whatever. There's a myriad of ways that it can show up. But for me, it feels good to do that. So I know already I will do another update around May at the end of this kind of sandwich when we're going to go into the next chapter of this year. But who knows? I could come with something else as well. Let's see. Intuitive Collage is also tomorrow, Friday, February 28th. That's usually at 2 o'clock Pacific. If you're in the Wild Moon community, you get those free, the Intuitive Collage, and you get both of the moon ceremonies every month on repeat. There's a group forum on my website that you can connect with other people and do all of that as well. So all of that is on my website. Wild Moon community is underneath the events and program tab, and all the moon ceremonies are available individually in my shop as well. I'm about to finish. I have tassels to put on 2 malas that are new, and so those will go up in the shop pretty soon. I've got a Dalmatian jasper, and I've got another Aquaterra jasper, but it's a blue. It's like a light blue color. The last 2 that I've made have been kind of a greenish color. So really, really beautiful. As soon as I get the tassels on and get the film, all of that, they'll be in my shop, and I'll post something somewhere, probably in an email and Instagram. So, and I may start doing posts here as well. I did one the other day just for the new moon ceremony. So people that don't follow me on Instagram, or if you're not on my newsletter, and you're only following me on YouTube, that you can get some of those updates. But I recommend being on my newsletter because that's where I'm going to do the updates most of everything. So anyways, all right. Be well. Take some deep breaths. I mean, even the way I'm talking in this is like so hurried and rushed. There's just this feeling of this fire with Mars being direct. And then it's almost like we're holding our breath because we know immediately after this, consciously or unconsciously, that Venus and Mercury are about to go retrograde. And we're like, oh my God, I have to get it all done yesterday. But it's just going to be a process this year of death and rebirth. This was the saying, if you die when you die, you will not die when you die. So anyways, that's it. I knew it would come back to me at some point. But anyways, love you. Take care. Feel free to leave comments or whatever questions that you have. And I will see you in the next one or wherever I see you. All right, take care.